I'm reading your mind. Nude. Hello and welcome to Tucking It Up. My name is Tuck, and as you can see, I like to play around with makeup. I also love the X-Men, and in this video we combine the two. So if you're a comic book fan, you'll probably know that the X-Men have a big event coming up called the Hellfire Gala. Basically, it's their version of the Met Gala, so everyone is dressed up in, beautiful new costumes. So I was inspired to do makeup looks that would go along with those outfits, right? So I've done Storm. I'll link it somewhere here. And for today's look, I decided to go for Jean. So if you'd like to see how I created this, please stay tuned. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me pop up a picture of Jean's new outfit. So as you can see, she's wearing kind of more like superhero / armor style versus like what Storm or Emma or Colossus are wearing, right? Theirs is more, I would say, on the fashion end of the spectrum. Hers is almost like a little bit more practical. It's got callbacks to her X-Men Red outfit, or more specifically, the version of that outfit that was in Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost. God, this is getting convoluted, isn't it? So in terms of what sort of beat I think she would do to go along with this, I think she'd keep it kind of relatively simple. She'd probably do more like a traditional, if you will, a more traditional like red carpet look where it's pretty, it's flattering, it's not super elaborate or complex looking. Like the construction of it might be much more complicated than you think, but like the overall effect, it will be quite light, especially compared to like something for like a runway or more editorial style look. So for that reason, I'm going to stick mainly with the Mothership 5 bronze palette. So it's got kind of a lot of warmer, sort of more wearable shades. I think, if depending on your skin tone, you could also go with a color palette, a palette that's more like cool neutrals, but I prefer warm just because it works better with my skin tone. I'm going to start today actually with the eyes. Because I guess I'm anticipating a little bit of fallout from some of the shadows. I think it'll just be easier to map it out first, establish it, then do my base, and then come back and finish up the eye. So let's start as usual with some eyeshadow primer. I'm going to prime my eyelids with the e.l.f. eyeshadow primer in this shade Sheer. Just, the usual, put a little bit on and then blend it out. Now that the primer has had some time to set, I'm going to establish sort of the base of the eye, add some depth to it with a brown pencil. Basically, I just want to apply this pretty close to the lash line and then buff it out, and then also kind of pull it out in the outer corner a little bit as well. Okay, so now that that pencil is laid down, I'm going to set it using some eyeshadow, and I'm going to use this warm, like medium deep brown right here. It's the shade Disobedient from the Mothership 5 palette. After loading up a packer brush, I'm going to tap the shade where I put the pencil, mainly focusing closer to the lash line and then sort of blending out a little bit as I go higher. And then I'm also going to concentrate this shade in the outer corner using sort of a progressively smaller series of brushes. So first the packer brush, and then a small crease brush, and then finally a pencil brush. Okay, I think that's good. So to blend out the edges, give a little bit more light to this, and just a little bit more structure, I'm going to dip into the Viseart Petit Pro palette that I have. This one is Solstice, and I'm going to use this sort of sandy beigey color right here. Well, I guess it's not that sandy, it's a little bit deeper than it, but anyway, that's not too far from my skin tone. I'm going to use that to blend out the edges and add some light to this look. I'm just going to pat this along the edges of where that darker brown shade is, and then I'm also going to kind of bring it upwards a little bit to even out the color of my eyelids. I'd like to intensify the outer corner a bit more and reinforce the shape that I'm going for. Start blending and doing more of that sort of upward, very soft wing shape. This is more or less it actually in terms of how big it's going to go. But the final thing I'm going to do is on the outer edges of where I had that light brown, I'm going to go in with, actually now it's more of like a very kind of a lighter beige / sandy shade from the Petit Pro palette. And again, just use that to blend out the edges of the eyeshadow. Alright, so let's add some sparkle to this look, and I'm going to use the shade Rose Gold 005 from the Mothership 5 palette. It's a rose gold shade. It's right here. There we go. I'm going to concentrate the shade mainly in the center of the eyelid. And then to blend, I'm just going to pat gently along the edges of the shadow and pull it out a little bit. I want the rose gold to be visible when my eyes are fully open, not too much, but just a little bit. So I'm just going to bring it up a little bit higher and then just blend it out softly and bring it outwards as well. Alright, so I did take a quick break from filming. I had to change out the battery from my camera. So while I was off camera, I just intensified the outer corner a little bit more and then put a little bit more rose gold along the top edge, just so you can kind of see it a little bit more. So let's move on to the lower lash line. I don't want the lower lash line to be super strong or go down too low, but I will add a little bit of disobedient mainly at the outer corner, and then smoke that out a little bit and use that lighter brown shade from the Viseart palette just to add a little bit of color to the under eyes. Okay, so I've established the eye, and I'm just gonna, before finishing it off, I'm gonna finish off do my base and then go back. So you can see there's a little bit of fallout right from the rose gold, so I'm going to clean that up, put on some foundation, concealer, all of that jazz, and we'll continue with the eye. I'm just gonna clean off with a cotton pad and some micellar water under the eyes. And then after that, I'm going to put on some primer. It's just the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, mainly along the T-zone. And once that's set, I'm going to use a relatively lightweight foundation. This is the Water Blend Foundation from Makeup Forever. I'm mixing in a little bit of Strobe Cream from MAC. This is the shade Goldlite, just to give everything a little bit of radiance, because I want the skin to look pretty fresh and not like I have that much foundation on. For concealer, I'm going to go in with my usual, the same tip concealer. I'm in the shades for highlighting 1 and 1.5, and then for spot concealing, just 1.5. Sometimes I mix in a little bit of 2. I'm going to go quite light on this today, again, because I want the skin to look pretty lightweight and pretty, quote-unquote, natural. To set, I'm going to use a very light layer of the e.l.f. setting powder in the shade Sheer. Mainly going to concentrate it along my nose, a little bit on my forehead, chin, a tiny bit on the cheeks and under eye. Since I want to keep the skin relatively dewy looking, I'm going to avoid powders where I can, and so for blush and highlighter, I'm going to use like cream products. I'm going to use the Goldlite Strobe Cream from MAC earlier as highlighter. Just pat that along the cheekbones, bridge of the nose, those usual areas. And then for blush, I'm going to use Vision Flush from Danessa Myricks in the shade Ballet Slippers. For today's look, I don't want my face to be as angular as it usually looks. And so with the blush, what I'm doing is, while I am still placing it quite high, I'm also doing more of a rounder shape so that my face looks a little bit less long and a little bit rounder. I think now we're ready to move on to bronzer and contour. Contour is going to be really quite light today. I'm going to go in a little bit heavy. No, we'll see how I feel about the bronzer. But yeah, contour will be quite light because I don't want to emphasize my cheekbones too much. They're already naturally, I think, pretty prominent. And I think for a jean look, she wouldn't go like super snatched anyway. So just a little bit of contour and then a little bit of bronzer to warm everything up and finish off the face. Okay, now that we're done with the base, let's go back and finish the eyes. Let's start with the brows. I'm going to go with a bit of a straight brow today. It's going to have a tiny bit of an arch at the end, but as usual, I'm keeping it pretty natural. Okay, so to finish off the eyes, I'm going to tight line. I'm going to use a brown pencil on both the bottom and upper waterline, and then actually along the upper lash line, I think what I'm going to do is mix two color fixes from Danessa Myricks. So I have the chestnut shade and blackout. Just mix a little bit of the black into that brown, and then use that to line the upper waterline. Upper lash line. All right. So the actual final step for the eye is the inner corner, and I want to bring in a tiny bit of green to this look, but not too much. So I'm going to use the shade Galactic Gold from the Mothership Mega palette. It's this gold shade right here. It's kind of a light gold, but it has a bit of a on the website they call it chartreuse. It's kind of like a greeny flash to it, so I think that will work quite nicely with the rest of the colors here. To finish off the whole look, of course, we need to do the lips. And for today, what should I do? Okay, I'll do, yes. I think I'll do quite, I guess a more nude-ish, natural looking sort of lip. So what that means is I am going to line with, what's the shade? It's called Whipped Caviar from NYX. It's just very close to my natural lip color. And then should I do that? I'll put a little bit of Ballet Slippers, right, that Vision Flush color I had used as a blush. And then over the top of that, overall top of that, I'm going to use Flesh Fantasy from Pat McGrath. It's a lip gloss, and it's kind of this beigey color. Okay, so this is the final look, and as always, let me give you a quick tour. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun creating this look, like the storm one, so I hope you had fun watching me. It's a lot more subtle, and it's a lot more, I would say, restrained than sort of the looks I usually go for and that I usually do. But it was nice to kind of do something out of my almost like comfort zone, just do something a little different for me. And also, I actually do kind of like how it turned out and how it looks. So maybe in the future I'll do more looks in this vein. Yeah, so I really had fun actually just thinking up how I was going to approach the different looks in this series, because I think each of the characters would have very different approaches to how they do their makeup. For me, it's definitely a way that that helps me express myself and helps express like the different moods and different thoughts that I have. So for this, I do think Jean would go for something like this. Maybe even if not this exact look, right? Something in this vein. Okay, so if you like content like this, and please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, I've got my Emma video coming up. I've still got a few things I need for that are arriving in the mail, so hopefully that'll be up in the next week or so. And until then, please take care, and bye!